Hi everyone, this is CFA guys coming to you exactly 1 week before the level 1 of the CFA exam. I wanted to go over a quick question, something you might see on the test in the test format. As you can see over here, we have the format in which they would ask a question in a multiple choice with 3 answers, A, B, and C. The question is, which portfolio has the best risk-adjusted return? Whenever we hear the term risk-adjusted, we automatically think of this term called a Sharpe ratio, which is what we're going to go over today. I'm going to go ahead and fill in this box over here. So let's say we have 3 portfolios, and excuse the writing, I'm getting used to this, this tablet over here. So we have Portfolio 1, Portfolio 2, and Portfolio 3. Now each portfolio has a return associated with it. So let's just throw in some numbers here. Let's say Portfolio 1 has a mean return, an average return of 10%. 10%, that's a pretty good return. Portfolio 2, doesn't matter what's in these portfolios, could be stocks, bonds, commodities, what have you, doesn't matter. Portfolio 2 has a return of 7%, and Portfolio 3 has a return of, let's just call it 5%. Given these numbers, we would say, okay, Portfolio 1 I would definitely choose because it's got a 10% return. It's got a higher return than the other 3 portfolios, but what it doesn't do is adjust for risk, which is what is referred to as standard deviation typically. Let's say Portfolio 1 has a standard deviation of, let's call it 20%. What does that mean? 20% means that the average portfolio return of a holding within this portfolio will fall above or below the mean by an average of 20%. So it's a measure of dispersion. Let's say Portfolio 2 has a standard deviation. Let's say Portfolio 2's risk is 10%. And let's say for Portfolio 3, let's call it 8%. So now the question is also going to give you a risk-free rate. Let's call that 2%. 2%. This is generally the rate on a treasury bond, something that has 0 risk. So the standard deviation, sometimes denoted by this little Greek symbol, on a risk-free instrument, on a risk-free security, would be 0%, so there's no risk with this. So now it's asking you which portfolio has the best risk-adjusted return. So what it's asking you to do is calculate the Sharpe ratio, which is our lesson here, for each portfolio. So let's do that real quick. The Sharpe ratio of the first portfolio, so the Sharpe ratio equation is mean excess return divided by risk. So average return, they already give that to you, so it's 10%. And what is the excess return? The excess return is a return over the risk-free rate. So 10 minus 2% divided by the risk. So you standardize it by your risk. So this equals, you can use a calculator on this test, but if you don't need one, that'll definitely save you time. So that's 8 over 20, which is the same as 0.4. Sharpe ratio on this portfolio is 0.4. Running through the same exercise, the Sharpe ratio on the second portfolio, average return is 7%. Subtract the risk-free rate, so the numerator is your excess return, your mean excess return, and you standardize it or divide it by your risk, and you get 5 over 10, which is 0.5. A little bit higher than this one. You can already see what's going on here. The Sharpe ratio for the third portfolio, let's run through it again. Your mean return minus your risk-free rate divided by your risk. This one you may need a calculator for. It's 3 over 8. If anybody's in the bond industry, we know that 3/8 equals 0.375. So now we can rank them. We obviously know that this one has the highest Sharpe ratio, so that's number 1. This one has the second highest, that's number 2. This one has the third highest, so that's number 3. So obviously Portfolio 2 would be our answer, has the highest Sharpe ratio. Now real quick, what is this telling us? Portfolio 2 has a better risk-adjusted return. So for every unit of risk, we get 0.5 units of excess return, mean excess return, which is higher than the other 2 portfolios. So there you go. And that is the Sharpe ratio. If you have any questions, definitely shoot me an email at cfaguys@gmail.com.